Today, give me a few minutes. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's going to illustrate one of the biggest changes in medical care that we've suffered in the last 50 years. Um, when I was in the fifth or sixth grade, this is a good story too, by the way. Fifth or sixth grade, um, our teacher, all the boys, had to go to see a doctor on school time. We had to walk about a quarter of a mile to this doctor's office. It wasn't very far. Back in those days, we walked a lot farther and never thought about it. But it was about a quarter of a mile, and we went in groups of four. And every so often, the teacher would send the next four boys. I even remember who I went with. I won't name them all because two of them are still alive, and one of them isn't. And I'll name him. His name was Randy. But I won't name the other two because if you went to school with me, you probably know who I'm talking about. But anyway, so we go. It's Randy, me, the other two, and so we walk down there. We don't really understand what we're doing. We just know that the teacher told us to do it. And we were still at an age where we wouldn't have just like gone and played some game. Like we went, right? So when we got to the doctor's office, there's a little tiny waiting room, and then the exam room is behind. It was just the doctor. There was no one working the front desk. There weren't multiple offices. This is important. We got there as the last of the last four was coming out. And they didn't look like they got hurt, but they didn't stick around either because they had to get back. So they didn't tell us what happened. In our group of four, Randy was the first. I wasn't, Randy. And so Randy, okay, and so he goes in, and and we're all sitting there. It's like we're waiting to hear screams or something. We're all waiting. And then Randy comes out, and Randy, he was a little, I don't know, not himself. It was like astonished. He wasn't quite sure. It's like, Randy, what did he do? And Randy got these big eyes, and he said, he grabbed my balls. Of course, now the rest of us, it's like, oh no. Of course, those were the days when, even if your mother wasn't around, a doctor could grab your balls. And, we didn't think anything like, it wasn't like, oh, the doctor's a pedo or something. We just thought, what's he going to do with our balls? And, uh, and we didn't know. But the thing is, the illustration is, and the whole point is, it was just him. There was no one else in his office. He knew us basically by name. I mean, I had been to him before, and later, when I was older and needed a work permit, I just went and saw him. It's like, I'll just go in. He'll give me a work permit. Well, he might have said no, but he didn't. I mean, there was nothing wrong with me that he should say no. And yes, I was underage and working. Another story. But anyway, so the thing is, you go to the doctor, and there's a person sitting at the front desk making sure that your insurance is right and that your co-pays are paid. That's their job. Then you wait. And then someone comes out, and it's not the doctor. You walk past four or five, maybe six, seven, depending on the size of the practice. Usually it's more than one doctor in one practice. This person walks you past these multiple exam rooms, puts you on a scale, takes you to an exam room, tests your blood pressure, your temperature, tells you the doctor will be with you in a few minutes, and then you're sitting there waiting, and you could hear that person put the file. I don't know what's in that file because everything is on the computer these days, but you could hear the something going in the door, basically letting the doctor know who's in there. And then the doctor shows up. Sometimes the doctor redoes the vitals. Sometimes he or she doesn't. And they ask you, what's going on? You tell them, and they say these words, and this is incredibly important. They'll say, well, let's try this. Now, I don't know anybody, any other profession that can say, we'll try this, and we just accept it. What's wrong with this picture? The doctor is with you for 10 minutes. And I'm going to tell you why the doctor is with you for 10 minutes. If he spends time with you or she spends significant time with you, they're losing money. You see, how much that doctor gets, particularly GPs, but everything is negotiated, and it's not it's not like this is how much I charge, pay me from the insurance company. It's how much is the insurance company willing to pay me for that thing? And how do I know that? I have a lot of people who call me up and ask if I accept insurance, and the answer is no. And there are a couple of reasons behind that. But the most personal reason is that anytime I've had a client as a clinical hypnotist, I generally don't qualify for insurance, but some people have these amazing policies that actually pay for hypnotherapy, sometimes for specific purposes. And I'll give them a statement and they can get reimbursed, but I'm not going to go through all of that hassle for $30 a session. I'm with my clients an hour and a half to 2 hours. I would make more money. I would earn more money if I served coffee at Starbucks for my time. So am I willing to accept that $30? No, I'm not, because I have to earn a living. Now, the doctor, I don't know what their negotiated price is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It isn't what he would get if he were charging for an hour with me or a half an hour even. It isn't. It might be a third, whatever it is. It might be a third of what he would get or she would get. I'm not being sexist, I promise. 30 bucks for 2 hours for me. I don't know what they get, but that's why there are so many rooms. That's why there's more than one doctor. They share the expense of that person sitting at the front desk checking the insurance. They share that expense. They share the expense of those one or two people who are taking people back, weighing them and sticking them in rooms. They pay for that. And it comes out of the money that they've budgeted, that out of the money they're going to get from insurance. And this is why sometimes you have to wait. If a doctor takes a little extra time because they see a need and they do it, then they're behind. Now, what effect does this have on your health? First of all, when you start talking to the doctor wants to know why you're here. Why are you, what can I do for you? What's going on? You tell them. And the first thing that comes out, what they're doing, you have to understand, they have been trained to diagnose and then prescribe. So all the insurance wants them to do is to listen to a list of symptoms, check items off a list, make their best guess. It's not always a guess. I'm really oversimplifying, but to basically make their best guess at a way of, get this now, relieving the symptoms. if you're taking blood pressure medication to lower your blood pressure, what will lower your blood pressure? It doesn't address the cause of your high blood pressure. If you're taking diabetes medications, it's designed to control your blood sugar. But as a specialist as a hypnotist specialist, I can tell you blood sugar isn't the problem. It is serious. I'm going to veer off just a minute. It is serious. You have to lower your blood sugar or you will rot from the inside. I know that sounds harsh, but that's what happens. Oversimplified, but that's what happens. You need to lower your blood sugar, but it doesn't address the cause. It doesn't address the cause. And when you go to the nutritionist, they send you to the nutritionist. The goal is also to control the blood sugar, not address the cause. If you have a nutritionist that starts talking to you about reversing insulin resistance, hug that person, if they allow it, and tip them, because that's rare. We now have doctors protesting the new food pyramid because they're so indoctrinated by the standard procedures, they don't want to give it up. That new pyramid, yeah, they're protesting, despite the evidence that nothing that they say regarding heart disease, particularly cardiovascular disease, has anything to do. They're wrong, and we know it. All right, so I'm coming back. Your doctor has 10 minutes with you to listen, ask a few questions to figure out, is it this or that, and give you a prescription, and I'll see you in 3 months. Okay, it's not a terrible thing. I'm not telling you not to trust your doctor. This is not a bad thing. But as far as I'm concerned, and I learned this lesson personally, as far as I'm concerned, it is amazing when you make a simple decision to take not only ownership of your own wellness, but responsibility for it. You start making changes. Like sometimes doctors will say, cut down on salt. Okay, because you have high blood pressure. But what does that mean? All right. And I don't even know that the correlation of salt and blood pressure is all that direct. But in any case, the point is, you have to learn. So when I go to the doctor, I'll be honest with you, it's basically, I'm in the best health I've been my entire life. I'm 65 years old. I am in amazing health because I've taken my responsibility for it and ownership of it. And I've learned. When I go to the doctor, it's because, first of all, they need to see you every so often. They have to earn their money, I guess. But also, I want the official checks of those labs that they run. I want to see I can check my blood sugar at home. I used to be diabetic. I know how to do that. I can buy over the counter a continuous glucose monitor, and I can watch my glucose. Can buy it over the counter, order it online. Comes useful. But I can do that on my own, and I know what it means, and I know how to adjust. Do you? Do you want to learn? If you do, and you're seeing this on Facebook, like and subscribe. If you're seeing it on Facebook, follow me. Joseph Onesta, hypnosis practitioner, is the businessy side of my presence on Facebook. You're going to see this everywhere I am. You might see it on Instagram, but I don't do much there. I just sort of add it up. In any case, I'm not earning money from this. I have nothing to do with any of the commercials that interrupt this presentation. I have nothing to sell. Nothing. All I'm doing is I'm giving something. I want to inspire you. All right. I'm Joseph Onesta, clinical hypnotist in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And bye.